They freeze in the absolute middle of the killing zone, completely paralyzed by the overwhelming noise and the sheer scale of the destruction. They become completely static targets for the relentless German machine guns. The water inside the cooling jackets of the German guns literally boils and turns to hot steam from the sheer friction of firing so many bullets. The metal guns glow red hot, but the desperate gunners just keep feeding in more and more belts of heavy ammunition. The slaughter is completely mechanical and utterly devoid of any human emotion. Men are dropping in clusters, falling over each other in massive, tangled heaps of bloody khaki fabric. The grand plan of the British High Command has failed completely and absolutely. The confident big push has instantly turned into the most spectacular and horrific mass suicide in military history. The green valley of the Somme is now rapidly filling with the blood of an entire ruined generation as the morning sun climbs higher into the indifferent sky. The terrifying invisible wall of lead continues to violently shred the morning air. The British soldiers who somehow miraculously survived the initial devastating volley of machine gun fire realize they cannot turn back. They are trapped in a complete nightmare of noise and flying mud. The only possible way to survive is to keep desperately moving forward toward the very guns that are butchering them. They lower their heads and trudge blindly through the shattered landscape. They step over the lifeless bodies of boys they went to school with and boys they played football with. The thick mud pulls at their boots like a dark, heavy monster trying to drag them down into the earth. The overwhelming stench of fresh blood mixes violently with the sharp metallic smell of cordite and burning explosives. The boys are completely deafened by the constant roaring thunder of the guns. They can only hear their own panicked heartbeats pounding wildly in their ears. But as the surviving remnants of the first wave finally approach the edges of the German trenches, they encounter the absolute worst failure of the entire British grand plan. The massive artillery bombardment that was supposed to completely obliterate the enemy defenses has failed in the most spectacular and horrific way imaginable. The heavy, high-explosive shells simply bounced off the massive rolls of German barbed wire. The shrapnel shells only succeeded in lifting the heavy wire into the air and dropping it back down into even more complicated and totally impassable tangled knots. The British soldiers find themselves standing completely exposed in front of a terrifying solid wall of rusted, razor-sharp metal. The wire is completely intact. It sits in massive, thick belts that are over 30 feet deep and 10 feet high. It is an absolutely impenetrable metal jungle designed specifically to trap human beings like helpless animals in a massive, deadly snare.